A manager says a project is almost on track. And somehow those two little words, almost, and that pause before it, can matter more than a page of polished vocabulary. Is that the real starting point for better English conversation, Bob?
It often is. Strong conversation is not simply knowing more words. It is noticing what the other person means, including tone, hesitation, emphasis, and what they may be inviting you to say next. That is active listening, and it gives your own response a purpose.
So instead of replying, "Great, glad it's on track," you might hear the concern underneath and ask what still needs attention.
Exactly. You could say, "It sounds as though there are still some risks. Which part needs the most attention?" That response shows you understood both the words and the uncertainty. In a workplace, that can open a more honest conversation instead of accidentally closing it with cheerful small talk.
I like that because it makes listening sound active rather than silent. What should learners actually listen for when English is moving quickly?
Start with the main idea, not every individual word. Notice useful patterns, how people ask for clarification, soften disagreement, change topics, or signal agreement. Listening to a short, understandable dialogue helps your ear absorb rhythm, common word combinations, and sentence shapes. Translation becomes less necessary when you can follow the overall meaning.
And yet, plenty of people tell themselves, "I'll speak once my listening is perfect." That feels safe, but it can become a very comfortable waiting room.
That is a good way to put it. Listening only can build recognition, but recognition is not the same as retrieving language under pressure. On the other hand, speaking constantly without enough natural input can lead to awkward phrasing and frustration. The useful path is a transition. Understand basic material, then begin speaking in small, manageable ways.
What does small and manageable look like for someone who feels their mind goes blank the moment they have to speak?
Repeat a short sentence from an audio clip. Shadow it, meaning you copy the speaker's timing and rhythm. Answer a simple question aloud, or describe a familiar routine, how you begin your workday, what you ate for lunch, what happened in a meeting. These are not glamorous drills, but they turn passive knowledge into language you can actually use.
Because the moment you produce a sentence, you discover what you only thought you knew.
Precisely. Someone may easily recognize "I have been working on" while listening, then struggle to say it spontaneously. Speaking makes you choose words, grammar, and order quickly. Those stumbles are useful information, not proof that you are bad at English. They show where a short practice session can do real work.
Give me a routine that fits into a busy day, not a heroic 2-hour plan that disappears by Wednesday.
Try 12 minutes. Spend 2 minutes listening to a short dialogue. Shadow it for 3 minutes. Role-play the situation for another 3. Then personalize it for 2 minutes. Change the names, project, or details so it becomes yours. Use the final 2 minutes to review 1 or 2 errors, perhaps from a quick recording.
That also sounds much more useful than memorizing a random list of business words. What situations would you build those mini dialogues around?
Real ones. Introducing a proposal, asking someone to explain a point, disagreeing politely, or closing a meeting clearly. Practice complete patterns such as, "Could you walk me through that?" Or, "I see the benefit, although I have one concern." A strong closing pattern is, "Let me summarize what we have agreed." You can adapt those without starting from zero.
We should talk about nerves, because even a good 12-minute routine does not instantly erase the fear of sounding foolish.
No, and it is important not to dismiss that fear. Low-stakes repetition can reduce ordinary nervousness. Start with films, hobbies, restaurants, or familiar work tasks. Let learners finish a thought before correcting them. Then focus on one or two important errors afterward. Constant interruption may polish accuracy while making fluency feel risky. Severe or impairing anxiety deserves qualified professional support.
And once someone has answered, the conversation is not over. The next move is often a question back, right?
Yes. Conversation is shared work, not a solo performance. Ask a related question, then follow up on the answer. That follow-up shows you are responding to the person rather than waiting for your next line. Listen for patterns. Speak before you feel fully ready, and let mistakes guide the next small practice session.
A little more attention, a little more repetition, and far less pressure to be perfect. Thanks, Bob. Thanks for listening, and until next time.